Hey guys, it's Ahmed from Sanctum Squad. I have with me today on a Discord call, we have Kazim. Say hello, Kazim.
Yo, yo,
We have Ryan Bear. Say hello, Bear.
Yo.
And then we also have the founder himself, Jake Salt.
What's up, guys?
I don't think Bear said anything.
I think he did.
Barry here.
I'm here.
So this is our first ever. It is our first ever tier list, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah.
Especially in this format. And what we are planning to do today is help people that are still new to the game, but also people that are in the meta game, kind of figure out where they should be picking their hand traps from. We think that there's a lot to discuss in this video. As you can see on the grid at the bottom, we have all those hand traps we want to discuss. We've eliminated some of the obvious ones that we don't need to discuss, like Swift Scarecrow and Gauze. Sorry, Bear. And as you can see, we have Blowout, Generic Good, Situational Good, Not Good Enough, and Do Not Play as our tier categories. Shall we explain a bit about what kind of each tier kind of means first, or should we just go straight into it?
Just get stuck into it.
Okay.
I think it's sort of self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
I'm sure it becomes more clear as we go along as well. So we're gonna go in order of the pictures here. So we'll start off with Mulcharmy Meows. Where are we putting this? Where are we putting Mulcharmy Meows?
So
I'll
discuss.
go first. So Meows, it's a great card, obviously. I think the Mulcharmies are really strong at the moment. Probably the best hand traps to play. Just because this is the kind of thing we'll get deeper into along the discussion. But I feel like one-for-one hand traps are not in a great position at the moment, and you kind of have to either rely on your hand traps stopping your opponent's turn, or at least putting them on a half board where you've drawn a couple of cards and make it much easier to break the board. So I think Mulcharmers as a whole is a really strong position at the moment. I think Meows is probably the worst of the three because out of the sort of main meta decks, it only really hits Malice hard, but it does hit Malice hard, and that makes it very much worth playing. So in my opinion, I'd probably put it either in generic good or situational good.
Yeah, I think that pretty much explains all. It's because it's not one that you'd main deck, is it?
I mean, you certainly can. I see a lot of people playing the heavier Mulcharmy counts. A lot of decks play like 3 Fua, 2 Meows, 2 Prelude in the main, for example.
It does actually hit Mitsu, yeah.
Yeah, obviously you're going to get 1 or 2 draws out of it against Mitsu, but it doesn't really hamper them because they could just choose not to summon, but they still get the ad and they're in basically the same position.
It's not the worst against Lurie effect either.
Yeah, no, I mean against Fiendsmith.
If you hit it on Lurie, then you're good to go.
I'm thinking like, and to be honest, I completely agree with you, Bill. I think it's even in the main or post side, it is situational good, but like it can also be like at the bottom end of like generic good based on like what you're up against. Like I think there isn't a single deck in the format that does it summon from Banished to Grave. That's in the top tier. Like if you look at Malice, summons from Banished. I mean, it's the best against Malice. Mitsurugi, you're gonna get a draw 2. Fiendsmith, you're gonna get a draw 2. I reckon it's where we're putting this. I think it's anywhere between these two, to be fair.
Cassim, where would you put it?
I'm saying generic good.
Yeah, I think
I like generic good.
I
It's
think
not crazy to main deck right now as well. So
I think Bear, you said it's the worst one out of the 3, but it's still good. So like theoretically, Prulia and the Fualos have to be above it, and I think everyone would probably agree with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Which one are we? Okay, this might be an interesting take. I think Perulia is closer to being more blowout most of the time than Fualos. Fualos is still blowout on occasion as well, because you know some people can just literally just make the 1 extra deck monster and then pass. I feel like if you're under Perulia, you're still guaranteed maybe your draw 2. And then, like, you still have to... Well, it depends on the matchup, really. Like, against White Forest, for example, this thing can be broken.
I think it's sort of matchup dependent because from my point of view, like, I don't play a lot of, like, the meta decks at the minute. I actually consider all 3 Mulcharmies to be blowout cards in the in the correct circumstances.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Like, to be fair, Meowls
Yeah, like
against
Meow's
Malice.
against Malice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
blowout.
I guess all three of these, especially if you open them in pairs, could all be blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anything, this could be generic good. I mean, I guess there are some
Yeah, I
decks
think
that,
blowout's fine for them actually.
yeah. I mean, it is basically fair version of Maxi in a sense. But yeah,
Well, adding on to your point about Perulia, I do agree. I think it is generic good or blowout because there just isn't a good deck at the minute that actually is good against Perulia.
yeah. The only thing I could think of that kind of is decent is just the generic Fiendsmith decks. The ones that just like,
Yeah.
I was playing a game the other day and against Fiendsmith, they just they play around Perulia fairly easily, but the end board's just going to be like what, a High Wave King or a Agmunde, whatever it's called, with a Desiree up front.
It sort of
What
trades
about-
with. Go on, Cassim.
I was gonna say Malice as well. Like, how's Perulia against Malice? I know they played the
I mean, you got
the new,
Bestials, you got March
the new
Hair,
package.
you got the normal summon, which
The
is
new
important.
Ignisters.
All the
Do they need to
Ignisters.
commit to that to make?
Yeah,
like,
they
their
all
full board
summon
That,
from
that's the
hand.
thing. They don't really need to commit to them to put up a decent enough board. Obviously, it's hand dependent, but if you drop Perulia and they normal Dormos, they're still putting up exactly the same end board that they were putting up before the new cards came out. We've just given you one draw.
It's an upstart goblin, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has succeeded in making them end on a weaker board, so it's
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is the order. And I guess situationally, theoretically there are situational, but I think against most decks they are just blowout. If you don't have the Ash for this, it can be just the least a upstart goblin, at the most just halves, or even at least halves the amount of plays that your opponent can make.
Just wait till Screwlia comes out.
The next up are the 4 Bestials, but we put them all 4 separately because they all with Magnamut and Drewsworm theoretically being at, well, not theoretically, being at 1. I think it changes how we view Bestials overall. I think Bestials, so Sarnia is probably arguably the worst one, as its effect is only relevant if you're playing something like Lubellion. But it's still a body. It's still a banish from the grave, and it's still a body. If we start off with Sarnia, it probably sets as a datum with the rest of it. Where would we put Sarnia?
Situational good.
Even as the worst one.
Well,
Yeah, like even if it's the worst one, if you see a Bestial against like a Fiendsmith deck, it's putting in work.
Yeah, they do ultimately the same thing. It's a DD Crow and a body. That is the job of a Bestial.
I mean, the whole idea of the Magnum being able to search any of them, Drewsworm being able to send a card, which is really good against Ryzeal, and then you've got Boldrake, which is so this is much better going first. This is better going second. But this is just better, just overall. But yeah, they all did the same thing.
Drewsworm effect is kind of negligible at the moment.
I mean, yeah.
So
Go on.
the way that I'd actually, so I'll say how I'd order it, and then if you disagree with where I place them, just tell me.
Yeah.
Like I'd put Sarania as not good enough because it hasn't got a bonus unless you are playing Lubellion in the main deck. And then I'd put Baldrake as situational good because Baldrake, it pairs really well with another hand trap that puts itself on the field. And that's where it really shines. And then I'd put Druisworm in generic good, and I'd actually put Magnamut in blowout.
Yeah, to be fair, I think the only thing I would say is I'd put this here. I think Magnamut is one of the most broken cards.
What do we mean by blowout?
It's just a free body and a free card at the end phase.
It's like Mag is basically just
To me,
two Bestials.
blowout is like a turn ender kind of hand trap. That's what a blowout means to me.
Yeah,
I just think
I guess so, yeah.
I just think it's anything that's high impact. So like, say we ignore Fiendsmith for a second, and then we just look at Mitsurugi Ryzeal. If you've got Magnamut, isn't that much better than having any other Bestial against? Like, so you banish the dark with the Magnamut, and then you can search another
It's
Bestial.
definitely the best, but I don't know. It's. I guess we're arguing semantics here, but to me, a blowout is like a turn ender, like where you've stopped my
Yeah,
turn with one hand trap on it.
I think this would be at the high end of generic good, but also we're considering if these cards being in matchups where they are going to be performing. So against Fire King, you wouldn't really. This would be all the way to do not play. But in its optimal situation, I do think it's at the
it's at the
highest end
highest
of
overall.
generic good. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
Yeah,
I think it's to be fair, Jake, I actually get what you're trying to say with the blowout, because like I've never had a Magnum at being summoned in front of me when I've thought, great, I've got to deal with whatever body he searches at the end, in the end phase as well, especially if it's against like Malice, like they just have the free follow up. But I do think it's like, compared to like being Foalos, where there's like extra control from just a lingering effect, I think it doesn't compare to that, even though Magnum is just ridiculously broken. If Tempai was still in the format, I'd say it's generically good. Sorry, blowout.
I think it's like completely deck specific as well, because even though I said I'd put Magnum in blowout, I don't actually think Bestials are amazing.
Yeah.
Like
You're right.
The two best.
See, I would disagree there. I think Bestials are pretty well positioned at the moment.
I think they're okay.
Well,
I think every deck is, well, not every deck. I'd say probably the most popular deck at the moment is Mitsu, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Most Mitsu decks only play one Murakama. And if you can Bestial, obviously they can get it back with Kusanagi, but it's so awkward, and it's like two turns away.
Well, so like, you know how you use Bestials against a Mitsurugi Royal deck? Would you say it's fair to say that you actually play them more as board breakers than hand traps?
Well,
If that makes sense.
I guess they can serve both purposes.
I think
Yeah, put it in generic good then.
I think under the circumstances you guys just said, I think this makes more sense then. Because theoretically, they are blowout in those situations where, like, a Murakumo, any of these are just phenomenal. But in generic good...
Even against Malice, like, there's...
Yeah, like
almost every Malice combo has a good point to Bestial.
Yeah, like what deck can you not get
not
value from them?
to Ibli.
Oh yeah, we Bestial in that.
Yeah.
I'm saying generic good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy.
Generic
I'm
good.
happy with this or this. Are we
The
saying
reason I'm
this?
saying generic good is because I can't think of one deck that the Bestials don't really do much against. Like even Malice nowadays, they're decent.
Yeah. No. I think you're right. Like even if you look at, like, in my opinion, the top 3 decks, top 4. I can't think of a 5th like big one. Like Fiendsmith variants, Malice variants, Ryziel variants, and then you've got like some really powerful additional decks with White Forest, and there's one that I'm missing. No, the Memento. I think Memento's still actually pretty strong.
Crystron's pretty strong.
Oh yeah, Crystron's pretty strong as well. If you take away Crystron out of that, those 5 those are the 4 decks can all be hit by like a Bestial. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it is actually pretty much generic good in this format, especially those 2. Are we happy with this?
Yeah,
I'm
good for
happy
me.
with this, yeah.
Okay. So we got Chaos Center up next. I think this one's self-explanatory.
Yeah, you
Situational
can
good.
kind of put that and Lancia in the same spot, really.
I think, well, yeah, it is
yeah.
blowout.
It's a blowout.
To be honest,
Yeah,
I think it's more blowout against Malice than a Mulchami.
It can be. It's a weird one now. You kind of have to time it right, because a lot of people have started putting Cerberus in the deck. But obviously, if you can just wait for them to reborn off Splash, then you're still in a pretty good spot.
It's Pit Knight early now.
Oh, true. Yeah. They do play Pit Knight early.
Because they Cyberse lock themselves, so it is. I think it's still like, if I'm going up against them, I'm using a Mulchami to get to this card, which shows that this card against Malice is just more blowout. So I think it goes there.
Yeah, if it sticks on the board, you win the game.
Yeah, we may as well just put Lancer there as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's in the same.
Lance's
combo.
is better than the fact that it's just lingering. It just can just happen. You don't have to do it in the main phase or whatever. I think it's broken. Are we all? I think this is just self-explanatory. Those two.
Yeah, we're not into
Yeah, I'm
details
liking
with
this
these,
so
are we?
far.
Yeah.
Liking it.
We got known material, which theoretically would be do not play, but
Blowout.
because everyone's gonna watch this video and just skip right to the end, we're gonna put it as blowout, but we're gonna put it here so it looks realistic. So it looks like we kind of spoke about it a bit. What was it, Jake? Against Moon, when they summon Moon, you do this.
That's funny.
That card's never been good.
I can't believe I played it for Nats 2018. Anyway,
Would you hit Nightmare Phoenix or Cerberus with it?
no, I never got to see it. Anyway, DD Crow, and then we got Cycle Reader immediately afterwards. I guess they kind of aren't the same anymore because there was that format before Alliance Insight came out where Blue Eyes and Fiendsmith decks were basically just the best deck for like 2 weeks after the ban list. So I guess
Yeah, I
these
think
cards
it
are
was
strong.
nice then. Yeah, nice
Yeah.
then.
I do
But
think
now though,
DD
I'd
Crow.
say
Go on.
not good enough.
I think Cycle Reader is just not good enough for just do not play because
Yeah,
like
Cycle Reader not good enough.
I just even think just do not play. There's no reason.
It's
to
just
play
light monsters, right? It hits.
Yeah, but it's 2.
Yeah, 2 lights.
Two of them. It's against Blue Eyes, but then
2 of them thanks.
But DD Crow, however, I do think that this has more applications than I do think it's situational good. I do think it has more applications than a lot of the Bestials because not having bodies on board, you can still DD Crow. It's like spell and traps.
There's like there's rogue
Non-light
decks.
darts.
Yeah, rogue
Yeah,
Really
decks.
so
good
like-
against Memento, for example.
Yeah,
Mermails, Fire Kings.
I think this is high
strong.
situational good. I don't know how you'd find the space for it with like 9 more Charmies being in the game. But if there was space, I think DD Crow is definitely. It's also one of those cards that definitely like just shock your opponent when they see a DD Crow. They're like, wait, what?
yeah.
Like, there's no more shifter to worry about, like resolving things like Veiler, DD Crow, Droll anymore as well. So like, it's much better than it was previously. I do think it's a very skill oriented card where like if you know what your opponent's play is, I think it has relevance. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
I like
agree.
it in situational goods as well.
Yeah. Then we have. Let me put this over here. We've got the Cyframes. We've got Delta, Epsilon, and Gamma. Should we start off with Gamma
Delta's
first?
the spell negate, right?
Yeah, Delta's the spell negate. Epsilon is the trap negate. The guy on the weekend at the Brotherhood Regional, round 6, 7, delta'd me on one of my spells. It was actually like, what the hell? But then I realized I had Ash in hand, so it didn't matter. Where are we putting Gamma? Gamma's at 1.
You have to play the brick for all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I love Gamma. I wish it was at 3.
I was talking to Jake about this earlier, literally.
I think do not play.
Jake?
I think Gamma is the best hand trap in the game, but it's at 1, so you probably shouldn't play it.
Does that make it? It's just do not play, or I think that's just do not play. It's just
It's like most decks
See,
run bricks right now. I don't think you can really afford to run an additional
Well-
brick just to play a hand.
well, if you value something like Delta as like good enough, you may as well throw the Delta in. Sorry, the Gamma in.
Yeah, the thing is if you want to play Delta, then definitely do that. Yeah, but like with Gamma, like Gamma's like it can be an FTK. You resolve it on your own turn, you win.
Yeah.
But, like you're not gonna play Driver just to play Gamma, and you're not gonna play Delta just to play Gamma, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
if Delta's relevant, then you will play Gamma.
Yeah, I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. I think Gamma is generically just do not play, but paired with Delta, which I do think is situational good to like not good enough, means that
You guys are missing out on the Primite Cyframe goo.
I think it kind of just relies on Delta, really. Like, if Delta's not good enough, I think these two go here.
Yeah, like you're not going to play Epsilon unless Mitsurugi start playing like Eradicator or something, and even then, are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Let's chain the trap.
Yeah, well, yeah. Are we going to? Should we just basically put them all in do not play? Really?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
stick 'em all.
probably.
I
It's a
like that,
shame.
yeah.
I'd
I
love
like
to play Gamma at the moment. I'd love to experiment with it. Droll in, Gamma in a Droll. There's no better feeling, but
Yeah.
it's not worth the one brick.
Yeah. No, I agree. Droll.
Like,
blowout.
Yeah, I think it's almost as good as. I mean, like, if you think about against all the the Mitsu decks, the like the White Forest, all the roguey stuff, it's blowout. But against, like, if you have it in Malice as well, you can basically draw yourself and stops you from these three cards.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a blowout card in general. Like, okay, you thought I lost me. I'm gonna draw myself and I'm gonna keep on playing. So it's blowout, like, in the
I
opposite
think
way.
Droll's better against Mitsu Razil than Lancia is against Malice.
I don't disagree, especially with the Ignister stuff.
So I'd chuck it at the top.
Yeah. Are we all agreement to that?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why this one should be with the girls down here. There we are. Okay. This is an interesting one. I think this is like going to be the biggest part of the debate. We've got Imperm and Vela. I personally think both of these are not good enough, but I can understand the concept of like Imperm being a bit better because of like you can just draw it as your sixth card and you can just Imperm like a problem card like, let's say, Caesar or something like that. I think it's good in that sense. But it's not good enough in any other context. Like, if your Imperm is your only hand trap, you just don't know when to use it unless it's like telegraphed, like normal summon sword. Like, it's telegraphed in it. But like, even then, they can literally just go, okay, reveal Habakiri in hand. Like, it's easy to play around Imperm. And the same thing with Vela. The only issue with like the difference between Vela and Imperm, and I think they kind of cancel each other out. Imperm is good as your sixth card. Vela can be played if you've nibbed, if you've let's say you've
Bestial.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So all of those cards don't affect Vela, where it does affect Imperm. So I think they like have different benefits, but they basically both do the same thing at different times. But that makes me think that they're both just not good enough. I don't see a problem with people playing it as a 3 of if you're playing like loads of non-engine. But like if you're tight on space, I think the first thing I'm always cutting, and this is literally what I did with the White Forest deck, I just cut the Imperm straight away. Like, I don't see the value. I can see them being played as a 3 of if you just want something generic in there. But I wouldn't be surprised if most of the time your Imperm's not doing you anything in like open state games where like it's not simplified. If it's in a simplified game state, yeah, Imperm Vela probably the better hand traps in the game, better than Nib, better than all that.
I think just generally speaking, when you build a deck, the first things you have to be able to beat is Ash, Vela, and Imperm because they are the broadest and most generic hand traps.
Yeah.
Like, other than maybe the more charmies, like Nibiru, I guess. Like every deck should have a Nibiru plan. But like, I agree. I don't think these cards are good enough.
Bear? Chasm?
Yeah, I agree on Vela. I don't think it's worth playing at the moment. If it's a situation where you're playing 20 hand traps, one of them will probably be Vela. But Imperm, I actually disagree on this one. I think Imperm's still really good. I know I said earlier I'm not a huge fan of hand traps trading 1 for 1 at the moment. That is the case. But Imperm is one of the true sort of generically good outs to things like Detonator, to the Echo Talker, to the
Caesar.
to Caesar, to
Caesar.
the new link that Malice put the Topologic Bomber. I've trading 1 for 1 with their M board pieces is still in a really good position. Not necessarily with the combo pieces, but the M board pieces can definitely be hit 1 for 1. And I really like that about Imperm. Another thing, the talents and call by are at 1, but they're still played in every deck. Neither of those cards are affected by Imperm. If you're playing the Dominus cards, having Imperm in your grave is really, really strong because it turns your impulse into a strike, basically. So I would disagree on Imperm, to be perfectly honest. I'd be putting that in generic good myself.
I think like it's I still think under that explanation, like it doesn't mean it's not a good card. I just don't think it's good enough. By like, if you were to isolate it by itself, the impact that Imperm can have, like you mentioned how it's good against Detonate and things like that, but like there are direct ways to just play around it. Like what Jake was mentioning at the start was like if you Ash Imperm, Nib, like the generic cards that you try to play around. There's not many decks that cannot play through a single Imperm, and even the timed Imperm is based on like having knowledge in your hand. Like I get it as a board breaker. I think it's decent as a board breaker. As a hand trap, with the intention of it being a hand trap being used in your turn, in their turn, I don't think it's good enough.
Are we not taking into consideration both?
Well, it can. Well, if you were gonna play something
So
like,
what are the Bestials doing in generic good?
well, but that's the thing. Like, I know what you mean. Like, it's when you have Imperm as like a hand trap alone, because like Bestials do solve like they do what DD Crow do, but they give you the addition of a body. But like Imperm is like it's either in your turn or their turn, and they do kind of different things. It's a board breaker in your turn. It's a hand trap in board breaker in theirs, hand trap in yours. But as a hand trap, I don't think it's doing anything more than what Vela does.
I think just to add on to something that Ryan said as well, imperming the actual M board pieces like Detonator, for example, that does go hand in hand with the mulch armies, because take Ryzeal for an example. If you like Fualos them in the best case scenario on ice, they're still going to make Detonator. So it like having the imperm in your hand, you basically get to play for free.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't that make it situationally good now? Because it's like it has to be paired with something always. By itself, I don't see it ever being.
We can
good.
say that about all these hand traps, though.
But like
unless
they all.
it's Troll Lance, your Cow Center.
But that's the thing. Like all of them kind of impact more than one dimension on the board. So like mulch armies, they don't just like give you cards. They make your opponent think differently about the game in terms of like, should I be pushing into this? DD Crow, like just removing a like even like I'm using DD Crow as an example because it's not as like up there on the list. It can, if timed correctly, it just takes away a very, very important card. I think if you could see your opponent's hand, I think Imperm would be the top of generic good. But I think because this format has like so many ways to like start your plays or like bridge into your final boards, I think it can be so difficult to play with just a single Imperm. Or even like,
what do you think? What?
Go on.
What do you think, Kasim?
I'm liking it in generic good. I like what Ryan said about not playing into talents and quad by, because pretty much every deck is playing that now. So
I think that's a very good point.
Stop
Yeah.
an end ball piece like Detonator and Caesar. I think it's solid. Sometimes if it's your only hand trap, though, it can be very bad.
The fact that Talents is at 1 is the thing that makes. If Talents was still at 3, I'd take that point way more seriously.
It's like called by as well. Like every deck's running called by almost.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess at the end of the day, like they're still like 2 1-ofs, but that can still be problematic, and Imperm does play around them. I mean, I guess I'm in agreement that Imperm is better than Vela.
Okay, are we definitely putting Vela in not good enough?
I do think it's not good. Yeah, it's definitely not good enough.
Imperm is definitely better, but is it generic good or situational good?
I'm saying generic good.
I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a time where you're disappointed to see Imperm in your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it also depends on the deck. I mean, like, if you're playing Ryzeal, seeing Imperm, it's like, okay, cool. It's just another one of my other 3 hand traps in hand, which is perfect. But if you open like 4 starters or 4 like engine cards and an Imperm in Ryzeal or in Mitsu or in any deck, I think you're disappointed.
It's like depending on the opponent's first play, you're probably just saving it for your turn, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd say you're more disappointed by the lack of other hand traps in the hand in that situation.
Maybe.
Specifically the
It's
Imperm.
always
That's what I
it's
mean.
always
That's
gonna
why
be
I'm
live.
thinking it's more situational good. But like, if it's going in generic good, I think it definitely would be at the bottom end of generic good.
You think it's worse than Bestials?
Yeah, because at least you get a body from a Bestial. And like what DD Crow does and what the Bestials do, in those situations, you get to put a body on board and you remove a card that was like going to either start a play or be problematic. And I don't think Imperm does that.
I think I would much rather see an Imperm than a Bestial.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, this is why I said Bestials shouldn't be in generic good, if that's how we're gonna like review it. Like, you'd rather see a Bestial in the matchups that Bestials are good against.
I'm happy to move the Bestials.
To situational good.
Yeah.
They could move, yeah.
So like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying DD Crow is probably better than Boldrake.
As a standalone card, probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I think these two are just so ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then do Nib next. Do Nib next because
Okay.
I think that's generic good as well.
I think Nib is the card that you want to see the most out of the generic good cards. Bar like maybe one, which we haven't got to yet. I think this is definitely here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's blowout. Go on,
I
Jake.
think
It's important to
Nibiru.
play alongside them all Charmies. Because when
Yeah,
the
yeah,
opponent
draw
does
into them,
decide to just push through, which does happen, I think it's important to have a card like Nib to
Yeah.
draw into.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think Nibiru in the TCG especially, he's actually the most format defining, like not even format defining, but actually like game defining. Like, has there been a good deck since Nibiru's release that doesn't have a Nibiru plan?
No.
No, every deck has to be able to play against Nib.
The only time I remember is when Snake Eyes could just casually play around Nibiru. A lot of people just started cutting Nibiru, generally.
Yeah.
The same with Droll.
Yeah, and
When
pure Ryzeal as well.
Yeah.
Pure Ryzeal was so bad against.
So yeah, so people started siding it instead, or like putting it like not in their decks anywhere. But I think this is, even though like you can play through it and like everybody has like a strategy to play around Nib, I do think it's still a massive interruption. I think at some point, like even if it doesn't resolve, like I can't think of go on.
I think it's huge even when you've gone first. Like if your
Yeah.
opponent's trying to put like,
I think it's better then, to be
I think
honest.
it's the best going first card in the game.
Yeah,
You can set up a half board and have a Nib in your hand. You're absolutely sweet.
Especially with
Have some follow-up
every
as well.
deck has follow up as well now. Like it's okay, yeah, I think that's self-explanatory. Skullmeister.
OG hand trap.
Do not play.
But yeah, do not play.
I think
think it
it's
has-
fine.
Go on.
It's fine to go and do not play now, but Orcust is right around the corner, and
I think it goes
Skullmeister
up here.
it is pretty good against Orcust.
Yeah.
It hits everything.
Yeah,
How
I-
real
I-
is August?
I think it's pretty real.
I think it's gonna be pretty good. I can't win against it. Every time I play against it, I lose.
Yeah, I think it's to be honest, even if you think about this format, things that activate Engrave, like it's more than often you get chain blocked, hence why it's probably do not play or not good enough. But I do think once people can't, like there are some decks, and I don't think Orcus can chain block because they're like the ignitions, aren't they, or quick effect ignitions?
Yeah.
So this definitely comes up here, but for the time being, I think it's definitely do not play.
Yeah, cool artwork though.
Phantasme, I think this is here.
Situational good, yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think it's at the top of it as well. Like if you had the space to play Charmies, this and this,
Yeah, it's the worst small charm, isn't it?
yeah. But also it's
I
like
think I'd put it after Jerusalem.
really.
I think situationally, those two Bastiles are probably better. Situationally.
I also like I have to think about the fact that it against Malice, for example, there is a certain part in like most of their plays where this alone draws you 4 cards. I think, yeah, draws
Yeah,
you.
but they bring back
what's
off the allied
better
if they
than-
play it.
What's better?
Yeah.
Let's say you have Bestial against, like, let's say you have Mag against, like a Fiendsmith deck, or you have Phantasme against Malice. Which one's
Bestial
not
against
better?
what? Sorry.
A Fiendsmith deck, or Phantasme
I mean,
against Malice.
Bestial kind of deals with the problem. Phantasme just puts more pressure on board in terms of like you can't target my stuff, even though Malice's stuff can't target,
It draws you into Lancia.
but it draws you into Lancea, and that can just cut off the play entirely. I think
So do you drop it early against Malice then?
yeah, I think you do. It's a draw two, at least a draw two, return one, and it can like correct your hand as well. Like if you've drawn, oh, I've drawn the brick, I'm gonna just put it back into the deck, sort of thing. Like it's, yeah, and it's also got it's got 3 effects. It's got a draw effect, it's got an on-field targeting effect, and it's a body that I'll be using that as an extra effect.
I think it is a good card.
Yeah, I think Kazim, I think it is. I think Bestials are better because it deals with the problem and you get to choose. But I think the fact that this has like so many more effects, I think it has to be at the top.
Yeah.
Although Magnum can search this, which is cool, and it also can be done in both players' turns as well. So like when they go GWC,
Yeah, which definitely does come up against Malice.
So you can draw as your 6th card and it's still good, but
Yeah,
so can this. We've got Palm of Kings. Jake and I were actually looking at this card in detail earlier.
Hasn't he got a real name?
Yeah, it's Palm of Kings. That's what it's called.
Return of the Dominus or something like that.
No, it's Palm of Kings now.
There's no Dominus in its name.
No.
No, it's definitely like Return of the Dominus. I've got the card upstairs.
Right, I've got it here. One second. I've got it in my folder. Songs of the Dominators is what it's called.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to fix up the game. If you have no monsters,
if you can play this card, you should.
What can play it though? Like I don't think it's just not good enough.
Eldritch.
I don't
even
Labyrinth.
think Lab can play it, you know.
Yeah, because it's the monster
You can
effects,
sort of
isn't
play
it?
it, but yeah, it cuts you off the graveyard, like the furnitures and stuff, which is the most important part of the deck.
We should have a tier that says if you could play it, play it. But then, like, if you could play this, where would it go?
I feel like that's probably the only card that would go in there, to be fair.
Yeah, but so assuming you could play this, where would it go?
What
Well,
did
if
it
you,
do?
It negates a monster
read the
effect
effects
on.
out for
So
people.
if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can activate this card from your hand. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, negate that effect. Then if you have a trap in your graveyard, you can add 1 Dominus card from your deck to your hand. If you activated this card from your hand, you cannot activate monster effects in the hand or graveyard and banishment until the end of the next turn. You can only activate 1 Songs of the Dominators once per turn.
The card sounds crazy, but there's just no decks that can play it.
Yeah, like
I think that's why they
if-
made it so good.
if you
it
set
sounds
this
crazy,
card, which is like you don't really want to do that, because if you're setting cards, Judgment is just better. If you set this card, what can't this like? What can this do that others can't, other than search, impulse, or purge?
And even then, you have to have a trapping grave.
Yeah, I think it's just do not play. I don't think it's not good enough.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but it's just do not play at the moment.
Yeah, nothing to play it. Just do not
Yeah.
play.
Purge.
I think it's pretty poorly positioned at the moment, to be honest. I think last
Yeah.
format it was quite good,
Yeah.
but at the moment there's just so many
You just
cards
you draw that
search
draw in
each
it.
other. There's no point like stopping one
Yeah, I mean like
because the other card searches it.
it's ironic as well because the other thing is Ash and like this conflicts with Ash. So if you see this first, you do this, and then you can't Ash after that. So you see Ash and this, you kind of get to like Ash twice in a turn theoretically. But this is like not as good. This doesn't stop a special summon like Ash does. I think it's not good enough.
Agreed.
It's like Impulse is quite good as a 6th card, whereas this card isn't as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop
Not
prayers,
good.
I guess.
And, like,
That's about it.
Most of the things that search are like spells and stuff that like even if they got destroyed, it didn't matter. But like there are monsters that, and I guess we're kind of going straight into Impulse now. Having a trap in your grave with Impulse is like crazy. I think this is. I don't want to put it. You guys may disagree with this. I don't want to put it at the like in blowout because, at the end of the day, it does stop you from playing a lot of other cards. And I think, Kazim, when we started playing with the Fiendsmith Mitsu instead of the pure Mitsu, we realized the flexibility of having those other hand traps is what made the deck more kind of structured. As good as Impulse was, I don't think it's good enough to be like completely blowout unless it's like on the right card at the right time. but I do think it's
Yeah.
the best generic good card
I think
if you
yeah,
can't
if you
play
put
it.
it at the top of there, it's good. Yeah,
What do you think, Bear?
at the top
Jake?
of generic good.
Yeah, that's where I'd put it to be honest.
Borderline blowout. Borderline blowout.
Yeah.
It's if your deck can play it and play it well, it's going to be one of the best cards in the deck. But obviously, it limits you so much that you can only play it in so many decks.
Yeah. And
I
fairly.
play Mermail, so I think this card's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, remember that in Tempire? In Tempire was
Don't even remind me. Retaliating Sea. What summons? The Mitsurugi stuff summons with spell cards, but is that it? Like, and they still get their
They all
effects?
trigger when they're banished anyway.
Yeah. It's just not good enough.
It's still really awkward to play under it though. To be fair,
I mean, you summon Murakumo and he blow it off the field anyway.
but if you had to say they go prayers, draw phase, you chain that. They have to play a lot to then get to Murakama.
Yeah, but like, surely
Or that would have banished a lot of the resources.
surely this wouldn't be anywhere close to being in your side, would it?
Oh no,
Yeah, 'cause
it's not leaving not good enough.
so you'd put it.
Yeah. It's not. I'd play Valor over this.
Would
Actually,
you
no,
guys
no,
wait?
no,
You
I
wouldn't
don't know.
consider this in your side. This
Nah,
format.
I mean, think about it. You got three.
I'd put it in do not play.
Purulia.
Then just put it in do not play. Then just put it in do not play. Then
No, because like,
you wouldn't even consider it for your side.
for example, if you don't have Perulias and Meows and you need some additional stuff, you have space. I think like the people that have Perulias and Meows, I guess this also helps them in the sense that like you need cards that kind of do something. So this could be this could be something that they could consider, I guess, if they don't have any of the access to the others. Because it does do something. But yeah, I guess you have access to Droll as well, so yeah, I guess it is do not play. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Contact C. Brazil can
I think
still
you
play
can
around
talk
it.
about. Yeah, I think you can talk about Contact C and Retaliating C the same.
Yeah.
Like, at the same time because
What does Contact C do again?
Opponent summons a normal, summons a monster. You summon it onto their side of the field. If they're gonna like tribute, ritual, link,
Fusion,
Xyz,
Synchro,
yeah, they have to use it.
all that stuff. I
So
think this card can have some cool applications against Ryzel.
yeah, I
For
mean,
example, if they summon X Ryzel from the hand, for example, and you drop that on them, it will probably get quite awkward.
probably gets really awkward actually if they've used the X and they
Yeah.
don't have and then they can't like
They can't link it off because they
Yeah.
can't link. They can't make a rank 4 because it's not a level 4. You can't ritual summon the Mitsus because you'd need to use that.
yeah.
don't
And it's
you
not
have to like go sword, search ice, and then ice tribute the Contact C? Is that what you have to do?
Yeah, Ice has to send.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which I guess it's only traded with the normal summon.
yeah. I guess
I
it's
forgot
still.
I forgot it summons the opponent's field. Yeah.
Yeah, it's do not play. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If it was to your field, it's fine, but it's do not play for sure. Because then obviously, if you do it on the X summon, they go sword, search, ice, and then ice is just okay. Cool, I'm sending this. It's free fodder.
If the Prank Kids Link 1 gets unbanned, then this card's going to be a little bit better.
Which I don't think should ever
The
happen.
moon now.
I think Flying Sea is the exact same concept then under Contact Sea.
It's even worse, I think.
Yeah, it's worse because it's just Xyz only. Yeah. Seravis.
Do not play.
Do not play.
Not enough targeted cards at the moment.
Yeah.
Malice and Mitsu, they don't need to target your
Yeah.
stuff to get rid of it.
Shifter. It's at 1. But if you do see it, you want to see it at the start, which makes it not good enough in my opinion. But if you do see it, I think it can be very problematic at the decks that you can. Yeah.
Situationally, yeah.
See, I'd put it in blowout still.
Yeah, it could be blowout, I guess,
Against the decks that you would put it in against, it is a blowout.
But
But
what
then-
decks right
but
now
because
not,
it's-
like get blown out by a shifter though? Like Ryzel
Not-
doesn't. Mitsu
Well,
doesn't.
I think Ryzel kind of does.
Think.
Yeah, you can't
you're
activate the
not really
hand
doing
effects.
a whole lot.
That's why I think it's situational because it's at 1. You can't see it consistently.
Does that make the card worse?
Yeah, definitely. Because like
Yeah, I think
when
so,
you
yeah.
draw it as like your 6th card or your 7th card when there's stuff in your grave, it's literally the worst card in your deck after turn 1.
Yeah, but that was even more so true when it
Yeah,
was at three.
that means you're more likely to draw it when it was at 3, so that's more likely to happen to you.
But like, as in like the whole idea is you want to see it immediately, and when it's at 1, it makes it so that you can't see it that quickly. So
But
it,
does
like,
that make the actual card worse?
yeah, but availability is still important. Like, it's like Gamma. Like, if Gamma, when we were speaking about Gamma, if Gamma was at 3, it would be completely blowout, right?
Well, you'd still play it at 1 if you didn't have to summon Driver. That's the only problem with it.
Well, yeah, but yeah, it has the additional tag of driver. But if you played 3 Delta, you'd put driver in there anyway. But like,
Yeah.
if like it's the same concept. Like the problem with Gamma is that it's also at 1 as well. So like the concept of like you having to be able to control no cards, and you also have to play a brick in your deck. Whereas like Shifter is one of those cards where you have to see in your opening hand before you even activate anything, because spells are going to go to grave, etc. And I think that availability relies on consistency, just like Gamma does. And I think without the consistency, I don't think it's completely blowout. And like,
I'm sure I saw a pure Mitsurugi deck playing Shifter, and
Stop
I'm pretty
Droll.
sure the side did.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the side did D Fissure as well.
yeah, it makes sense because you can't get drolled. It just, yeah, and then everything gets triggered underneath it. But that's the thing. Like the only thing it's used,
wasn't it?
the only the Kong's one. Yeah, the only thing it's used for now, Shifter in this meta, is not to be like an anti-meta card or anything. It's literally just used to kind of help your play, if anything, which makes it like not good enough or like situational good. It's nothing there's nothing in the format, in my opinion, out of like the top 2 decks. It doesn't hurt them. Like it doesn't hurt them in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's just trying to help you to resolve stuff.
It's good against all the weaker decks in it, like
Yeah.
Fire Kings, Nermals.
Yeah, but you'd rather have Droll for that, because that's generic over everything apart from maybe Malice. Which is why, like, I think that availability as well added to that of it being at 1 and you having to see it in your opening hand makes it like so important. And I think that's why Shifter being at 1, like, there's a reason why it went to 1 in it. Theoretically, I wanted it to be banned, but the fact that it went to 1 has prevented all of that from like happening. I think if it was at 3, I think Malice would still play at 3 in the side. Well, some Malices would play in the side at 3.
Where would you put it, Kasim?
I would put it. Situational good.
I think it's somewhere in situational good, or maybe not good enough. But I think situational good is like it's more used for you than it is for your opponent, but that makes it situational. And I think it's I think I play DD Crow before I play a Shifter.
Personally, I don't see any world where this card is not a blowout.
Considering the format, I don't think it's blowout. But
I don't think the format matters. That's my opinion.
Jake, you can have the final say.
I understand where Ryan's coming from, wanting to put in blowout.
I agree. Yeah.
I think the fact that it's not very good against. Well, I'm not saying it's not very good. It's not like the best hand trap against the 2 best decks in Malice and Mitsurugi Raizio. But it's still really good against Fiendsmith. It's good against Fire King. It's good against Mermail. It's good against White Forest. Like, I think if you can, if your deck can play this card, I think you probably should, and it's probably going to be one of the best hand traps in your deck.
Actually, I think you've just helped me think it is actually blowout. Because like the same thing with these, if you can play them for against a certain deck, like if you, but actually nah, like I think paired with the availability thing, it just becomes too situational for me. Yeah, I still stand firm on the situational thing.
Well,
I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it in blowout.
You're going to put it in blowout, okay. I'm going to put it at the bottom end of blowout.
Yeah, we'll put it in blowout with the caveat that only 50% would put it there.
No, I kind of get the whole blowout thing. I think the thing that makes it like availability wise makes it situational. But the blowout thing is the fact that the best two decks could actually play this if they wanted to makes it even more problematic. Or does nothing against the best two decks, but against all the generic rogue stuff. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it does nothing.
I mean,
If I'm playing Malice, I always want to see Shifter against Mitsuru's Ilt.
Yeah, I guess. So, for context, anybody that's actually still watching at this point, it could be either one of them.
Hi, Dan.
Typhoon.
Rubbish.
I really like this card, but yeah, I don't think it's like... What can you actually do with this card, and why would you go -1 to hit the cross? Yeah, just hit the cross. Like, I don't see the just do not play, right?
Yeah.
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 I do think that...
Why is he taking this? Why is he taking this long to get to Ash Blossom?
I thought maybe retention, video retention.
Ash is generic good.
I think it's between. Actually, personally, I think it's here.
Real.
I think it's like genuinely.
I think it's ahead of Nib.
It stops all the Molcharmies, which is really good. But if you're not stopping a Molcharmy, most of the time you're stopping something that is in this format is more than likely not going to be good enough.
Yeah, look, I think when you go first and you open Ash, it's a blowout against more Charmies.
Yeah.
But when you go second and you've got Ash, it's average.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. You don't really want to see it. Maybe drawing into it off
It's
a more
just generically good, right? It's just generically
if you're only going to see one or two
be
hand
live.
traps, you don't want it to be Ash.
Yeah. Ironically, we have all 12 hand traps that Malice play right here. Maybe not Nib. Maybe not Nib. If yeah. We're agreeing with Ash here, yeah? Yeah. Okay. This is...
Blowout.
I genuinely think if we've put Shifter here, which is, I've said situational, I think this is the best situational card in the game. But in those situations, it is blowout, which is why I thought Shifter has to be here, and this would be up here. I thought this was the situation. But if this is up here, I'm saying this is up here. But there's no way you'd put Bell over any of these, because these are the ones that you'd play first. But it's the fact that you could draw it as your 6th card, stops like big cards in the... It stops pretty much most of the power cards in Malice, and if you time it correctly and you know at that point what their play is, I think it's pretty good. But also you can hold it and wait for a GWC. You can stop Call by the Grave, Bestials, DD Crow, Malice and Underground. You can stop all the Mitsu cards. You can stop Prayers. You can stop Kusanagi adding back from grave. You can stop most of the White Forest stuff. You can stop all the Fiendsmith stuff. You can stop like this. The list of what this can stop is almost as big as Ash. This format.
Yeah, I like it in generic good, maybe situational good.
I think with the format, I think it's generic at the moment. But yeah, I think it could be top situational.
I guess with the format right now, yeah.
Go on, Jake. Sorry.
It seems like Bell is an impulse that more decks can play.
Yeah, it's an impulse at home. And I think like if I've never been in a situation, I don't think, where I've seen Ash and Bell in my hand and been like, oh great, because it's almost like I can hit two things that do the same thing theoretically. Like, oh, Prayers, I don't want to use my Ash yet, let me Bell it. Or oh, they're going Fiendsmith line, let me wait for sequence. I don't have to use my Ash on the Requiem. But then they make Caesar, and I'm like, why did I say Imperm was not good enough? I think it's at the bottom of generic good. I think it's too good to be situational good because of the format. But it could be here. But because of this Shifter thing nonsense that we've just gone through, I think this could be here as well. Bear, I think you are the one that has to like comment on this.
Go on, Bear. Put it in generic good.
For me, it's got to go in situational.
Ooh.
Okay, so
To be honest, I don't think it's a bad card at the moment. obviously, as Thomas said, it's got a lot of applications, but I feel like if you're playing like 15 or so hand traps, there's definitely 15 that you'd put in before you'd put in a bell.
Hmm.
I think that's valid.
I mean, what are those 15 that you'd put in before? Like 3 this, 3 this, 3. But then if you're not playing Impulse, you're playing Bell. Like if
No, you're
okay,
not.
like okay, so Perulia, Fualos,
Well, I'm not.
Perulia, Fualos, and then you got
Yeah. Nib, Droll, Imperm,
Nib, Droll, Imperm,
Ash. That's 18
Ash,
hand traps
18
that I
hand
played
traps.
before bell
Okay,
in any deck.
but then some people may not want to play Perulia, and maybe want to play this, or maybe they play this, and they can't play this, but then they also can't play. Okay, I've just cancelled out my own quote then. But I do think, like, for example, if you look at my hand trap lineup, if you look at my hand trap lineup, like, I don't want to play Imperm, and if you're not playing Imperm, because I do agree, I don't disagree with the fact that you want to put this here, but I don't think that if you weren't playing Imperm, you're a criminal. Like, I think I don't think it's criminal not to play Imperm, and playing Bell on top of Imperm. Like, for example, in my White Forest deck, I play Bell over Imperm. And I don't think that's wrong. I think in the category that I'm talking about, Bell is there because it stops the problematic cards for me. And I don't think, even though Imperm is a spell or trap, I don't think it kind of does enough. I personally think if this thing's here, I would love to argue blowout, but I think I'm going to be fair and say it's at the bottom end of generic good because of the format. I think it also can hit things more firmly than Imperm because you're going to hit the stuff that is like at the climax of their plays, so like sequence or adding back the prayers for the second ritual. Sorry, not the prayers, the ritual spell, or even just prayers and like not having to burn like a more generic hand trap like Ash. So Bear, you're saying situational good. I'm saying it has because of the format. I think it's generic good. I'd love to put it here. Chasm, where are you saying?
I'm saying generic good as well.
Jake.
Um,
Bear's saying here. Chasm and I are saying here.
I really like it as an impulse at home.
And Impulse is here.
I think
Yeah, like
it's
right now it hits a lot. You know, so it just hits a lot.
I think like if I was like deciding whether or not I was putting Bell in my deck, it would be completely based on Murakumo coming back to blow up my board. And if Bell was the best card that stops that happening, then I'd put it in my deck. You've also got like there's a lot of cards to contest with because there's the Bestials, there's DD Crow. So yeah, I think like for me it lacks a uniqueness.
Thing is, though, Bell isn't stopping Murakamo come back.
Yeah, you stop the prayers with this,
Because you activate prayers, tribute Murakamo,
and then you can just bring back the Murakama.
can't
Yeah.
kill them both.
But in my experience of playing this card, and like, I think Chasm's played this card, I played this card. Bear, I really wish you'd actually like give this card a go. As much as I want to respect your opinion on this, I
Giving
think
it a go mentally. And I didn't like what I saw.
I do think it's generic good because if you can't play Impulse, you'd want to play this. Not because it does as much as Impulse does.
I'm not going to argue too hard because I don't think it's a bad card at the moment. I just think you'd play other hand traps first.
I'd be more happy to put this in situational good and bring Shifter back down here.
Why?
Because this is
What are you
more
negotiating?
This is so much more situational.
I'm trying to say put it in generic. I'm not arguing.
Oh, okay. That's maybe I wanted.
you
Maybe I
arguing?
wanted to argue.
I wanted the negotiation.
Jake, do you think this is fair?
What in generic good?
At the bottom of generic good.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Dog feces wood.
I think if you're Ahmed, you should play that card.
Hate this card.
Yeah, true.
It is situational. Like if you go into time, it is really good into time, isn't it?
I think this card's amazing if you're a cheater.
Yeah. So I think this is just
Is your species of anything?
blowout in it. Just blowout. I can't put it in not good enough.
It's blowout in the last 10 minutes of the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't put it in situational
best
good.
part.
Yeah, that means it's situational good, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that has to go there. Ogre.
Not good enough.
It just trades 1-for-1 most of the
bad.
time.
It's got applications against every deck, but like I said, there's many other hand traps you'd play before it.
Yeah. Mourner. I think that goes same with Vela, in my personal opinion.
I put it below Ogre, to be honest.
Yeah. Are we?
Is Murakumo optional to pop the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't do it on your own turn. You can only mourn mandatory effects on your own turn, innit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
you
that's
can
right,
you can
yeah.
mourn them anyway, but it
Yeah.
just won't work. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
I think. Oh wait, Kazim, do you agree with Ogre and Mourner?
Yeah.
I think this card is not as bad as we think. Especially if you have like Regenesis could like play this, for example. If you've got like loads of space in your, it's like a Meltronus, but not on steroids. I don't think it's
Chocolate milk.
yeah. I don't think it's great. Neither do I think it's bad. I don't think it's do not play. I don't think it's that much not good enough. But oh, there's my dog going wild in the background. I don't think you've got. Unfortunately, you got me jumping on camera now because that made me jump. You've got. What was I saying? Was I waffling about this card?
You were waffling.
I don't know. Where would you guys put this?
What card?
Winter cherries.
Winter cherries,
Winter
yeah.
cherries.
Honestly, I don't know
Right.
what it does.
Reveal one
Thanks,
from
Paul.
extra. Banish one. All copies of that card from your opponent's extra.
So you have to play like a detonator in your extra to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what you
exactly.
want it to. Oh, so that.
So it's like a Metaltronus, but like it's not as good. Neither is it as bad.
Preemptive.
Like it's like your opponent has to control more monsters than you do.
Oh, that was what? Sounds ass. Do not play.
I think it's just maybe at the top of the not good enough. I think you could play it and kind of get away with it. Like if you're playing like, oh god, where is it gone? I reckon if you're playing a mirror or if you're playing against Malice, there's like a lot of different one-offs. And if Detonator was at 3, I guess this would be kind of cool. But I'm trying to
I think
think.
what I really don't
Go on.
what I really don't like about this card is it never trades. Like it doesn't actually trade with any resources the opponent
Yeah, it's
has
just the hardest
access.
one.
Yeah, I hate it.
Are we saying do not play then?
I wouldn't play this.
Yeah. I do think
put it in the
think
bottom.
it's like waiting to be like maybe potentially decent. I think it's one of those cards that like
it'll probably be good one day. To be fair.
Kazim,
It has been good in
Yo.
it was good in spiral format.
yeah, because
you could banish double helix.
Goki as well because you'd hit that sold. Would if you banished all the Rock of the Vanquishers in the upcoming format with this?
I'm still playing. I'm
It does
still playing.
nothing. It does absolutely
Uh,
nothing.
Yeah, you can still play with that, right?
Okay, maybe I thought maybe it was just a talking point.
There was sometimes you just don't even summon rock, just to play around there. But if you have Fenrir,
Okay, if we look at this overall now, does this make sense?
I'd move no material at 1.
Oh, fair, yeah.
No, not the best.
Okay, fine. They're happy there?
Yeah.
The only
Looks
thing,
good to me.
I think this is the only misplaced thing.
Well, we think you're wrong, so
Well,
outvoted.
it is what it is. Any last words from anyone?
I think that's it. Close it up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
GG.
Thank you guys for joining. I think we'll probably do more of this. I think Jake and I had an idea of just as those that are still watching at this point. We want to actually do like a how to beat the meta sort of breakdown. So going through each of the decks and kind of like looking at different hand traps or different like board breakers. Might have to do a board breaker tier list and also a deck tier list as well. Jake and I were actually looking at deck tier list methods that were different to like how everyone else does them, because I think we want to be more informative. Where did we get with that, Jake?
Well, we need to come up with an actual structure that shows you. I think because it's got to be correct in it.
Yeah.
But it becomes subjective when you start bringing in people's opinions. So how do you find subjective like best decks? It's very easy to say that Malice and Mitsurugi Royal are the best decks.
Yeah.
But like, is Malice one of the best decks? Like, has it proven that it is?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the number ranking system that we had was kind of cool, but it kind of like shows on like different fronts on like where it is. I mean, we'll probably work on it a bit more and see where we get to, and maybe we can turn it into an actual tier list. But yeah, cool. Those that are still here or the ones that have skipped to the end, make sure you go buy your known materials. I've already bought my playset of secrets. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was informative. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff, comment. Yeah, cool. Peace. Thank you.